Hello, Leo. This is your 2018 yearly tarot reading. So, this will be pretty extensive. It's a 21 card spread. It's called the Grand Romany. I'll not only be looking at relationships, but I'll also be looking at career and money. Okay, I'm going to cut the cards. I have a Four of Swords. I have a Six of Swords. I have a King of Wands, a King of Swords. I'm sorry. A Ten of Swords. Okay, so things are getting pretty weird here. I have a Queen of Wands. I have a Queen of Swords. And then I have the Star. That's pretty amazing. So the first 7 cards, 5 of them are swords. So, yeah, I'll get to that in a second. And then you have that Queen of Wands as well. Next row, I have the Hermit. This is a Two of Pentacles, reversed. This is a Knight of Wands. I have Death. I have the Fool in reverse. I have the High Priestess in reverse. Okay, this second row has a lot of strong cards here with major arcana. I have an Eight of Swords. Last row, the Hangman, the Moon, Four of Pentacles, Temperance, Ten of Pentacles, the Page of Cups, last card, Five of Swords. Very, very interesting. So what can I say about these swords here, except Leo? There are definitely some relationship issues that are coming through from what I'm feeling. Especially this first row with all the swords here. Lots of conflict. And so when I visualize the relationship issues that could be going on, that are coming through with the swords, I'm feeling some of you beginning the year, because I'm going to start, this isn't going to be like a past, present, future. This first card begins the year, and then this card ends the year. That's going to be the last card. And these columns here, they all represent a different question or inquiry, which I will get to in a second. But I want to work row by row here. But I'm also going to look at these elements here. So when we get all of these swords coming out one right after the other, as you know, swords, they convey anxiety. They convey pain. Sometimes swords reflect the way we feel, the way we perceive reality. And pretty much most of the swords in the, most of the swords in the tarot are about some psychological energy where, we think, we overthink things, we're worried, we're healing, we've been betrayed, we've been stabbed in the back, we're confused, there's chaos, there's arguments. Just about every sword in that tarot, in those cards, reflects some negative aspect of human relationships and human pain. So it could be that near the end of the year, some of you Leos will be, the end of this year, some of you Leos are going to be dealing with some turbulence in your relationships. There might even be a breakup over the holidays. Some of you are going, and even if you're not breaking up with someone, some of you near the end of the year, heading into the beginning, are going to, this first card is a Four of Swords. This is the card of taking a rest, taking a break, pulling back. And so some of you might actually be taking a break because this is followed by a Six of Swords, which is the card of traveling, actual travel. It's also the card of emotional healing. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to be you, Leo, because your energy is Wands. But keep in mind that air nurtures fire. Whenever there's air, there's always a possibility that fire can exist. So air is sort of complementary to your energy. And so when I look at this Four of Swords and the Six of Swords, I'm getting traveling, taking a break. It's been pretty dramatic, maybe near the end of this year. We've got like maybe 5 weeks to go before 2017 is over. And you might actually, some of you Leos might actually be traveling and visiting, okay? And so, having said that, yeah, I am sort of taken with the fact that you do have a Queen of Wands here. The Queen of Wands is usually associated with Aries. And then this Knight of Wands is associated with Sagittarius, okay? The Strength card, which hasn't shown up, is usually associated with Leo. But I do get a sense, Leo, that you've kind of burned out, pun intended, because your energy is fire. And so when we come here with this Four of Wands and this when we come here with this Four of Swords and this Six of Swords, taking a big break and pulling back. But when the King of Swords comes along, we're still making decisions. And then the weird thing is that, and this is why I kind of feel that maybe this has something to do with another person or a relationship issue. After this King of Swords, for some of you, there might be a decision. Someone hurts you because then this Ten of Swords follows. And then we have these two queens. You have your Queen of Wands next to this Queen of Swords. And it feels weird seeing this Queen of Wands in the midst of all these swords here, and then with this Queen of Swords. So when I see a King of Swords and a Queen of Swords challenging a Queen of Wands, I do see it somewhat as a challenge. I'm kind of seeing you guys in the midst of, some of you in the midst of a conflict or a battle or a real life issue that you and this person do not agree with. And it could even be that a type of breakup in a relationship where people hurt each other, someone hurt you really bad, they pretty much lost all your trust. So yeah, I'm looking at all these swords here in a row, and then all of a sudden these two queens show up. you and this person may be in dialogue, trying to work things out, because the number 10 is usually the number of closure and the new beginnings. Something that came to a peak, a big issue that for some of you might be very intense and very dramatic. So when we get here, all of a sudden we have this star here. And the star represents optimism and hope for the future. But that's in the long term. It's not something that comes immediately. It's sort of like, let's be optimistic. Let's try to. It can even be for you just resolving your anxiety and letting go, and going back to the healing process. Okay. So yeah, the first few months of the year, as winter for some of you, ends. From the beginning of winter to the end, I feel like some of you might be dealing with some really painful relationship issues. And the person who's bringing the swords energy, some of you might be actually on just waiting to see if this person comes back, whether this person will reconcile with you. But I definitely get a sense of distance and hurt and pain in a situation that you are kind of recovering from. And so that's why I see all these swords, but then I see you showing up here with this fire energy, and then I have the star. So when we go here, this next row, we begin with the Hermit being alone for some of you. And then, interestingly enough, you have that Two of Pentacles here. And looking at the cards, you don't have a lot of pentacles. You have this Two of Pentacles reversed. And this is the card of usually, being very busy. You had a break. Maybe some of you might still be having relationship issues. You're on your own. And so this Two of Pentacles comes along, and you're just juggling, avoiding your emotions. Now this is reversed. And when it's reversed, it can mean that you're really working yourself too hard, that you are avoiding issues, you're staying busy, but you're neglecting your emotional nurturing. And you see this young boy, he's got the infinity sign, and it's usually called a Lemuran, and this is infinity, infinite power. You're trying to stay focused, you're trying to concentrate. Some of you, as far as relationship and career, some of you might be juggling 2 jobs or just staying busy with 1 job. Things might get really hectic where you work. But when this is in reverse, you need to be careful, because it means that you'll feel emotionally drained. You're taking some time off alone, and you're still trying to heal. I still feel like there's a sense of healing here with the star. And then the Hermit. So, Leo, I just kind of feel that you have all this energy, and you're so spent and wasted from all the drama from earlier on in the year that you're just throwing yourself into work. But I think that's going to throw a lot of things out of balance here. So here comes a Knight of Wands, heading into change, heading into conflict. And like I said, knights go to war. They're about action. They're about change. And I think it's interesting, from this Knight of Wands, you go straight into death, closure. A transformation. Now, interestingly enough, I don't necessarily see this as just a relationship issue, or some of you breaking up, or a relationship coming to a close. I see this for some of you as a real change and transformation within your lives. Something, for some of you, this big change that's going to be happening in the middle of the year, you might not want. but you may not have a choice but to let something go here. And keep in mind, this death is right in the middle of your spread. It's in the second row here. It's in the second row. And then as far as columns, out of the 7 columns, it's number 4. So this is in the middle of everything here. And so I feel like some of you Leos, after struggling, some of you have been struggling with long-term relationships for quite a while, that have been nothing but painful and dramatic and causing you sleepless nights and just burning you out. And I feel like this year will be a process for some of you of just letting go and really moving on. And keep in mind that in this second row, you have all of these major arcana cards. You get the Hermit, you get Death, you get the Fool in reverse, and then you get the High Priestess, and then you get more swords, the 8 of Swords, which is confusion, feeling helpless. So when this transformation comes and this total ending of your former life, not necessarily a relationship, I feel like it's going to throw you off balance again. So we have the Fool. And the Fool is carefree. The Fool has no issues. Take note, the Fool has a wand in his hand. I love pointing this out. I love seeing wands and water and earth. Keep in mind, usually the Fool represents a very confident person, going into new beginnings, trusting new beginnings, having faith, not being afraid to be open to new beginnings. Okay? And sometimes it just means doing what you need to do to be happy. But because this is in reverse, maybe you're not ready for that. You might be very tentative about moving on. And then you have the High Priestess. And she understands mystery. She follows her gut. She trusts herself. And she has mastery over her subconscious. She understands those, the subconscious knowledge, the psychic knowledge. And she has trust and faith in that as well. The Fool and the High Priestess together make an interesting combination because they're both about trusting and having faith in the universe and not letting the worldly issues get in the way of your journey. Okay? And she keeps her emotions in check. She doesn't let anxiety filter up from the subconscious. She's in perfect control of her conscious and subconscious. She's able to focus. She's able to be emotionally strong. She doesn't react to anything. So when this is in reverse, your world seems to be a little bit off kilter after death. And this is sort of reinforced because after those 3 major arcana cards, Death, Fool in reverse, and the High Priestess in reverse, you have that 8 of Swords. You still feel helpless. You don't know if you're ever going to be able to get a grip on everything that has happened in your life. Okay? And so very tumultuous heading into the beginning of the year. Some things might come to a head in relationships. As far as career and jobs, it could very well be some of you leave a job. Some of you might even want to quit a job. So this death is going to be relevant in many different ways for some of you Leos here. Big transformation in this second row. So as we head into this last row here, still emotional turmoil here, especially with the Hangman, dealing with situations where you have no control over it. All you can do is just wait it out and be patient. You can't control this situation. You cannot direct it. All you can do, as uncomfortable as this position is just try to understand why it happened, accept it, and just trust that things will get better. And on top of that, Leo, more emotional ups and downs, because then you have the moon. And the moon is about sensing danger. The moon is about old fears coming back up, things that you've been afraid of. And it can also be about your gut, because keep in mind, she's got the moon in her card too, just like the High Priestess. And remember, the High Priestess is about the subconscious. And so it feels like a lot of your fears and anxieties, will you get a new job? Will you be stable? Will you be able to pay your rent? It feels like some of you might lose a little bit of your confidence and you're going to be struggling to get back on your feet. Okay? And part of these struggles, once again, so many different Leos, thousands and thousands of different experiences for Leo, especially based on your astrological chart. These transformations and changes and feeling helpless, they'll play out in different ways for some of you. But the general gist of this, especially after that second row and we head into more major arcana here with the Hangman and the moon, is confronting your fears, finding faith that you'll be okay, and not being scared, because it feels like a lot of you have lost that sense of security in a relationship, or that sense of security with a stable job or finances or with your family. So a little bit of shakeups here. So when we get here to these other two pentacles, you had a Two of Pentacles reversed here, you have a Four of Pentacles. And this is the card of holding on. You need, with all this anxiety that you're going through, Leo, some of you are going to just try to hold on and not let your life fall apart. And the interesting thing here is that you have Temperance. And this is the card of inner peace and happiness. And notice how the water is flowing now. Okay? You were turned away from the water. You were traveling. There was travel over water. We have the Star. Interesting. Earlier in the year, you did have the Star, as if this was a promise that you would find balance and that you would emotionally heal. Two jugs, giving and receiving. Same thing here. Now we come back later on in the year, and it feels like the Star is keeping its promise. Look at that rainbow. And then look at the cherub balancing those two cups of water. Okay? The trauma, the drama, the pain, the instability, the being blindsided, stabbed in the back, all of those things that you've dealt with, Leo, you're coming through with Temperance, you're finding balance, and then you have this Ten of Pentacles here. And this is a lovely card because just like the Ten of Swords here, this is about prosperity and happiness. You seem to be getting back on your feet financially as well for some of you. And then this is followed up by that Page of Cups. A new emotional, this whole tide of emotions and happiness now are coming out. Emotionally, you might have held your feelings in check here. Maybe some of you didn't want to feel. Some of you probably just detached emotionally. So when we get here, some of you could be falling in love again. Okay? Some of you could be emotionally healing. Sometimes a page represents a beginner. They represent young children. There's someone who's starting out in a new experience. They're just new. Okay? And sometimes it's just rediscovering happiness and finding your happiness and finding your joy, getting your groove back. So near the end of the year, things will start falling into place. And then you end here the strange thing is that you end here with a Five of Swords. Um, and sometimes this can mean that you are suffering a defeat of some sort. But here's the deal, as I look at all these swords and why they're showing up. Um, I still feel that for some of you Leos, this is some energy that someone else is bringing. Um, you know, one thing that's occurring to me is that someone is coming back into the picture, starting a fight, still bringing a conflict, still trying to get you confused. Um, some of you might be, you know, in a worst case scenario. Maybe you reunite with someone, you fall in love again, and then this person ends up um, having a conflict, rejecting you again. But I think that's, to me, that doesn't feel like the right scenario here. But you do have a little bit of conflict that's following this Page of Cups. Um, that uh, some of you are, throughout this year, throughout 2018, it's going to be a process of healing and opening up and feeling your emotions again, and getting back on your feet. And just when you do have that spark, that joy, that hope, that the Star and Temperance are sort of promising you, there's still going to be some minor skirmishes. Sometimes this Five of Swords comes along to indicate lots of insecurity, okay, and ego issues. And so what I would say to you, Leo, um, pulling in this air energy with the swords as a complement to your struggles and um, this drama that you're going through. I kind of feel this as more insecurity as it follows this Page of Cups. Okay, I don't think you should put yourself down. And I think I'm kind of like saying this for some of you, not all of you, obviously. But this Five of Swords can definitely mean a little bit of insecurity. Your mental, you trying to decide, should I stay or should I go? That's where I see the conflict. That's where I see the insecurity. That's where I kind of see you not feeling that maybe you can start a new relationship. Now, some of you, it might be an issue of, will this person come back into my life? Some of these swords, I think, represent your feelings and the pain of a relationship that some of you had with someone very special, and this separation from that person. And so through most of the year, I kind of feel some of you guys just trying to heal and grow from that. So when I do see that page, that happiness and that initial joy, and then it's followed by that Five of Swords, a little bit of, you know, like I said, I don't necessarily see a defeat or you losing at something. I just feel that there's a lot of insecurities from previous um, painful situations that you still need to let go here. Um, and then some of you could be actually struggling with reconciling as far as, should I get back with this person or should I not get back with that person? So yeah, within the emotional regrowth and the rebuilding and the renewal emotionally, getting back on your feet, all of a sudden these swords start showing up as if to remind you of a previous situation. And some of you could actually meet an ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend or ex-lover. That could also be a reason why all of a sudden this Five of Swords is bringing a little bit of conflict here. Okay? And some of you who might be falling in love again, it could be an issue of, I'm not sure if I'm ready to fall in love. Maybe I'll try this and then, it doesn't work out. The person's not on the same page as you. But it doesn't mean that you should give up. I feel like the energy of the Star and the Temperance that's good energy for you. as if they're both combining to give you this message of hope and peace, and you will be okay emotionally. I think water is very significant here from what I'm seeing in this reading. So, um, yeah, that's what I'm seeing just from reading the cards from beginning to end for you. And big transformations. Now, these columns are interesting as well. So let me backtrack here. This first column here addresses your home. So you do have a Four of Swords, retreat and rest. Hermit, taking time to be alone again, contemplate things, think things over. And then you have the Hangman, meaning that not only are you alone, but it seems like you're dealing with a really difficult situation and you're just trying to hang in there and not feel overwhelmed by all the chaos. Okay, so that's what I see going on with your home. Lots of you and this person, for instance, some of you who might be married are having issues with your partner, big arguments. Some of you might be on the bubble. Should we get separated? Should we get a divorce? Those types of issues. Okay. When I get here, this second row applies directly to you. Okay. And so once again, traveling, emotional healing with the Six of Swords. But then we get that Two of Pentacles, being very busy, avoiding our emotions. I feel that because this Two of Pentacles reverse goes to the Moon, there could be a little repressing of your emotions, lots of fears, um, lots of things up in the air. Some of you might still be dealing with relationship drama. Will this person come back? What's going on? Will I hear from this person again? Okay, so that could be a reason why we're avoiding emotions. But then the subconscious always tells the truth. The subconscious always sort of unpacks. If we don't acknowledge it in our consciousness, feelings have a tendency to creep up in our dreams and to creep up in our feelings and creep up in our intuition. So this sense of you feeling things are out of whack, things are unstable, and you're just trying to maintain stability in your life, but you're still very much afraid. You know, I get the feeling that it's because some of you, because you've been dealing with these big transformations with the major arcana, some of you are going to be feeling very afraid and very insecure about your future. You don't know what's going to happen next. Okay. And so, yeah, getting perspective and not feeling so shell shocked. For those of you who went through a really painful breakup or a very toxic relationship, or maybe a very bad situation with your job where you got fired unexpectedly. But that's where I find you here with the Moon. Okay. Dealing with a situation where some of you are like, I don't know what's going to happen next week. Will I still have a job? You know, will I be financially secure? When we get here to this third column here, this addresses the people surrounding you, your friends and family. And so that King of Swords, someone's decision, someone's judgment. And then, interestingly enough, I have a Knight of Wands, which seems to be you walking away or you turning away. You know, something about your interchanges or how someone else, this could be another Leo. But I think it's interesting that in the energy surrounding your friends, your loved ones, your lover, your partner, big decision, but this Knight of Wands, because wands represent fire, I'm looking at another change, a new direction in regards to relationships with you. People are either, I feel like people, you know, once again, I'm sensing a lot of drama between you and certain people, people at your job or people at your in your relationships to where you might be reacting to them. They might be feeling that they might be feeling that it's difficult to compromise with you. And this Knight of Wands is actually followed by a Four of Pentacles. And so when I look at that, Four of Pentacles is the card of stubbornness and not letting go. And so it seems like certain people, some of this drama that I'm feeling, some people are holding a grudge against you. Some people are unwilling to compromise. And some people are causing a little bit of drama in your life, which is why some of you might be suffering from that anxiety and that, you know, you have no idea where you stand, okay, in this situation. Now, this fourth column, it's the yes or no column. Whatever it is that you want from 2018 or expect, this is the column that will tell you, yes, it's going to happen. I like seeing it as a confirmation row. So these three cards, you go through this Ten of Swords and then Ten of Swords into Death. And let me say this, the last two cards anyone wants to see in a relationship is going to be a Ten of Swords and Death. But then you have this healing here with Temperance. And so, you know, it seems as if the tarot is saying, if this is for some of you who have relationship questions, it feels as if the tarot is saying, well, for some of you, you're leaving a relationship behind, but you're going to come out of it okay. You know, this could be the tarot saying in this column that some people might not come back. This situation is going to be over and done with. But here with the Temperance card, there seems to be this promise that you'll be happy again, okay? And that whatever happens here with death, it was meant to happen. It's a new beginning. And remember, death is usually, you should see this as a positive card, because death is also about that transformation where you're reborn. You get to have a new life. And so when I look at that Temperance card coming after death, it does seem to make sense here of what's going on with you, that happy times will come back with or without a particular person. Or if you lost a job, you will get your job. You will find a new job. Okay. Now, this fifth column here, going from Queen of Wands to the Fool in reverse to a Ten of Pentacles, these are things that are unexpected. Okay, that could very well happen in your life. So once again, you have Queen of Wands, this fire, this desire to map out, you know, to take the initiative here. And then the Fool also takes up the wand, but it's reversed. So we have an issue where you might be making a bad decision. Remember, the Fool is about trusting and letting go. But then, you know, Ten of Pentacles, things might actually turn out better than you thought, as far as this is definitely the card of prosperity. Pentacles are about earth. They're about the material wealth as well. So the family, the home, your money, things could actually turn out pretty well for you, especially if you've been sort of wandering around and you don't have your bearings yet. This column right here, the sixth column, we go from a Queen of Swords to the High Priestess in reverse, and then we go to a Page of Cups. So I feel like this Queen of Swords represents, and this is what you want to have happen, but may not happen. So this Swords energy with the Queen, and you also have that King. This could represent one particular person. This Queen of Swords, which has brought all of this conflict or pain for some of you. Then we have the High Priestess in reverse. We have overwhelming emotions. We we're not trusting ourselves. But then this Page of Cups, this desire to begin again, to fall in love, to maybe some of you are hoping to make up with someone. This has a chance of not happening. But once again, these are always possibilities here. Now this last column here, this column, the seventh column, is basically what will probably will happen. Okay, and so we start with the Star, we start with optimism, and then we go to this Eight of Swords, and then we go to a Five of Swords. And so it feels as if, taking all these other cards into account, some of you are like, okay, the beginning of the year, as far as relationships, what I'm seeing is that some of you went through some very traumatic breakups, big issues with relationships, even separation and divorce. And you might be asking yourself, especially with death, with some of you dealing with a separation or someone moving out, you're like, well, how will this really end with us? Is it really over? Are we going to be able to patch things up? Well, this is sort of saying, no, not likely. Okay. Also, it's also, keep in mind, the Star is about long-term success. That it's saying you're going to have to go through some stuff here before things get better. So don't dismiss the Star when it shows up, because in a way, the Star is sort of a promise that with all the other things going on, even with death, even with the Hangman, even with the Moon, the Star is sort of like setting up, like, this is going to be a very special journey for you. You might as well just be optimistic and go with the flow here. So you will heal, you will get better. But it feels as if with the confusion of the Eight of Swords and then the Five of Swords, even just a minor setback with a job, not necessarily a relationship. The tarot seems to be saying, yeah, you're going to have a minor setback heading towards the end of the year. But you should definitely pick yourself up and just keep moving. Don't let it deter you. Okay? Because the theme of all of these cards that I'm seeing for you, Leo, in 2018 is dealing with big changes, big transformations in your life. Especially with letting someone go, or even in a relationship, you and this person rebuilding a relationship, and that might not be easy for you. Okay, especially if you are in that situation where you were separated in a marriage and you get back together and you want to feel in love with each other, but there's still some conflict here. That's what I'm seeing here with that Five of Swords. Okay. And so just keep in mind, this is not going to be as bad as you think. But definitely for some of you, with all of these swords, so strategically taking up the first row here in this last column, I feel that some of you, I feel like some of you might be going through a lot of personal issues that are very painful with someone. And it's going to be a matter of, through these big transformations and these big hiccups in your life, especially with death, and your alone time and you trying to heal. I feel like this is all just a big journey for you that you're going to appreciate more at the end of the year than the beginning of the year. You're going to look back at everything you've gotten through and you're going to be happy that it all turned out okay. But yeah, this Five of Swords, um, minor setback, but it doesn't mean that you can't keep moving forward, because by the end of the year, especially with Temperance and the Ten of Pentacles and the Page of Cups, you're going to have things worth fighting for. You're going to have that glimmer of hope and possibility. And it's important that when it feels like, oh no, it's happening again, I'm going to get hurt again, I'm not good at this job, I might get fired. This Five of Swords is really like, you've made it this far, just keep going, you'll be okay. Okay, so Leo, that was your reading for 2018. And just a big thank you to everyone who supported me throughout the year. I really appreciate it. All of your comments and the way you've been helping each other out in the comments section. It's really a wonderful thing to see. So I hope that as you watch this video, your holiday season is getting off to a great start. This is all about life. You still are in control. You can still have power over your decisions, okay? So take it all in stride. You'll be fine. And I want to wish you a happy new year in advance. And I look forward to reading for you in 2018. So take care. And as always, I wish you love and light.